Oxalates in food are actually not something the majority of people need to worry about. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys about this today. So the reason I'm bringing up these sort of topics is because these topics are coming out of very, very fringe communities. There's, again, a couple of doctors and experts who've discussed a few of these things, like different anti-nutrients and stuff in your diet. Some of whom have written books and made a lot of money on those books. And the overall findings just are not consistent with nutrition research or even what medical doctors find as a whole. So oxalates are one that a lot of people have hit upon. You're seeing it coming out of again, the carnivore community. And I want people to understand this is a community that believes that vegetables are bad for you. In spite of study after study after study, hundreds of studies around the globe, meta-analysis, everything else showing that generally speaking, people who eat more vegetables live longer, have less heart disease, less cancers, less diabetes, all these problems. Okay, so we need to be clear on that this is coming out of fringe communities, and it's not saying that oxalates are not a real thing, but what people need to realize as we look at it over and over and over, every food in the world has something imperfect about it. And in other words, if you dig deep enough and you look at all the enormous amounts of things in food, because people think of individual foods as not having much to them, but they do. There are thousands of different substances in everything from a steak to a banana. Okay? And when you look at it from that perspective, you have to look at the sum total balance of foods, the good versus the bad. And are the bad really that bad? Because if you're trying to find something wrong, you're going to have to just stop eating. And we need to be clear there, that if you were to go through and say, okay, I'm going to eliminate every food that scientists have found some potential problem somewhere in the body with something in that food. Okay? If you do that, you're just going to have to stop eating. In fact, you can't even drink water anymore. Okay? So we need to be clear here. That is a nonsense approach. So what you need to do is have a balanced view and look at it. All right, the thing with oxalates is the real concern is actually kidney stones. All right, that is the only real negative in a diet that has been linked to oxalates. It's not to say there aren't some things with absorptions going on, but again, tons of things in foods slow down or reduce the absorption of different things in your food. Okay, there are literally even minerals and vitamins that will slow down the absorption of other vitamins and minerals. You still have to have them in your diet. Okay, that's not a valid reason to cut things out. And if your diet is balanced overall, these things are usually not a problem. So the whole anti-nutrient thing is already an overblown thing. And again, the only people who harp on anti-nutrients are the carnivore crowd who have an anti-science stance already. Right? Again, the whole vegetables are bad. And this is just another thing of, see, look, we found a problem with some vegetables. Because this would include, broccoli, spinach, soy, potatoes, all these things. All these things have oxalates. Foods that we know are extremely healthy. All right, so how do you deal then with oxalates? Well, if people do research on it, instead of looking only at the fringe sites of these people, they go look at actual medical and nutritional science websites, recommendations of doctors, registered dietitians. They'll tell you, well, the first thing you do if you're concerned about oxalates in your food, because let's say you have a problem with kidney stones, obviously cook your food. Don't eat these things raw. Okay? Don't eat these things raw. Cooking food reduces, just like with some of the other anti-nutrients we've talked about, dramatically reduces the content. And I mean dramatically. I mean, one of the anti-nutrients we discussed previously with lessons, like over 99% of it is removed in certain foods just by cooking. Over 99%. So with oxalates, there's a similar situation occurring. Just cook it. Breaks down the oxalates. Done. There might be trace amounts left. Okay. So you have that to factor in, but then you have the other thing. Since these are healthy foods that we have eaten, in large amounts, and even, again, foods out in nature, many of them that your ancestors ate were really high in oxalates. So the question is, how did they deal with it? How do we deal with it? Why didn't they all get kidney stones? Well, here's what the experts point out. It's only an issue if you don't drink enough water. In other words, the number one fix for people who are having these problems, obviously besides cooking the food, or anyone who might need to reduce oxalates in their diets for the specific medical condition, drink more water. Dehydration is the biggest cofactor. In other words, if most people who got kidney stones, even from a high oxalate in their diet, who are genetically predisposed to have them, had they just drank more water, they probably would still not have gotten the kidney stones. And again, that is the biggest fix. Simply drink more water. Now, to use myself as an example, I got a kidney stone as a teenager. So I assume I'm prone to this. And I guess there were a lot of oxalates in my diet. I'm not sure at the time. But you know what? I probably didn't drink enough water, and I know I didn't. I didn't drink enough water at that time. And, I drank a lot of soda and stuff at that time instead. But yeah, I didn't drink much water when I look back at it. When I got involved in fitness as a very young man, early in my life, I started drinking tons of water, and I've always drank a lot of water. Never had another kidney stone. I personally have a diet most of the time that is pretty high in oxalates, because I've always eaten tons of things like broccoli and spinach and stuff, right? My diet's high in oxalates. I've never had a kidney stone issue. Never had another kidney issue. Why? Because I drink a lot of water. That is what the experts point out. They're like, if you drink enough water, you will flush all the oxalates out of your kidneys, unless you have some kidney disease preventing it already. In which case you're sick and you may need medications and other medical treatment happening. Okay, you need to be consulting a doctor, not going to the internet to find some ideas that tell you, oh, never eat a diet with oxalates, avoid vegetables. Because the problem is, again, the experts will tell you the same thing, the health benefits outweigh any of the risks. And if that is your solution, you are compromising your health in other ways. You're potentially compromising your health in other ways by not having a great diet. So the solution here, if it's a problem for you, is number one, cook them. You probably shouldn't be eating a bunch of raw vegetables at that point, and you need to drink more water. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.